Hello and welcome once again to I Don't Get It, the pop culture Get Off My Lawn cast. This show features the open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons staring at the prospect of entertainment irrelevance. Although in about a month or so, I'm going to be 51. So
That's right.
I'm rounding up to 60. I might in 1 month be on the mathematics side. I might be rounding up to late 50s.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that, sir?
Because once you're past 50, it's all just a slide. Like a double dare slide covered in chocolate fudge to the end, you know?
I've been sliding since way before 50, man.
Oh, okay. So 50
The
is
slide for me began probably 43, 44.
It's a signpost along the way. Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, I can't really argue with that. The hair starts to go, the joints were going. Yeah, you know, this is definitely on the other side of the mountain by now.
It's accelerating, though. Like, you don't get old people.
Yeah.
It's accelerating. It's really happening fast.
Opt for not getting old. Yeah, okay, so...
yeah, you might as well say 60, because I can't imagine making it to 60 at this point. Like, I'm going to be on an iron lung at 60 at the rate I'm going.
Do they still have those? Where do they keep them?
I don't think so.
Like Homer Simpson said, here I am like a sucker still breathing for myself, you know?
Yeah. So wait, what was an iron lung? It was... because your lungs don't work, so it's like an artificial lung, basically.
Yeah, polio. One of the problems is in some cases, a polio it would actually paralyze your involuntary your diaphragm movements. So the iron lung quite literally formed a seal around your neck.
Right.
And
you're in that like pod lying down.
It was a pressure vacuum, and so what it would do, it would reduce the pressure inside, so it would mechanically expand your chest by essentially creating a vacuum inside.
So all you're doing is like, what quality of life is that? What are you doing?
That's the thing. People did not have a quality of life living in an iron lung. It merely kept them alive, but it's just one of those pictures from the 30s and the 40s that it afflicts you with horror of wondering, wow, this really does seem like something out of David Cronenberg. You don't want that.
Could you even read? I mean, you're just lying there.
You're just lying there. Yeah, I mean, you know what? So far as I know, none of the great canon of Western civilization have been written by people in iron lungs. Your arms were by your side, so it's not like you're right. You can't suspend a book over your head unless a nurse or caregiver is holding it for you. But I'm sure that did happen.
There was a Green Lantern villain in the comics for a little while called Baron something, and he was in an iron lung. I'd probably be a super villain too if I was stuck in an iron lung.
I'm guessing it's probably easy to defeat him. You could just turn it off or knock it over. Not one of the more difficult.
Especially if you have a magical ring from space. Yes.
Well, in case the people want to know, my name is...
The iron lung was colored yellow, so he was Green Lantern's toughest foe. Yeah.
The wood had the wood impurity to it.
Golden Age Green Lantern. It was a yellow wooden iron lung. A wooden lung.
I'm Bill Scurry of American Caesar Enterprises, which is a secretive firm which designs and manufactures navy blue mail carrier shorts. I'm sure you know what they look like. It's a narrow business, but we do pretty well for ourselves.
Yes, it is.
Though. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Good work, my friend.
I'm joined as always by this guy.
Yes, I'm Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quiz master of the Big Quiz Thing, the Trivia Game Show Spectacular. Welcome, friends. I was going to say folks, but folks, friends. We are back. We took a week or two, 1 week off, right?
Yeah, but we're all sorts of staccato.
We're busy guys.
We're going to be. Yeah, it's like unfortunately we can't promise a regular routine.
Yeah, something else that happens when you hit your 50s. You get busy, folks. Life intrudes.
Right. My prostate problems they preclude me from broadcasting every single week. I have no idea what do you want me to say.
Oh boy. Anyway, but we try to talk about. We never say die, folks. Iron lung or no, we're trying to keep up with what's happening in culture. And this week we're talking about a social media trend, primarily on TikTok.
Can you believe it? I mean, how long has it been? It's been minutes since we've done that,
I know. Since I don't like going on TikTok, I mainly watch this on YouTube and Instagram. And I was a little afraid when I started researching it this week. I was a little afraid we were past the sell-by date on this, but no, it's still happening. News story I read this morning that was not there when I read earlier from a British online magazine I never heard of before called Two Oceans Vibe. I just want to read this headline. Army of dwarves invade Scientology headquarters in latest Scientology speedrun stunt. What does that mean if you have no idea what I'm talking about? Well, they are talking about little people. A group of little, army is overstating it, but a group of about 10 little people, I believe this was in LA, invaded the Scientology headquarters on a Scientology speed run, which is the trend we're talking about today. It started in LA. It spread all over the world. Bill, tell us about the phenomenon of people of all statures doing a Scientology speed run.
I like that you have to bracket that just so we know that this isn't just...
Well, I don't want people to think the trend is just little people doing it. This is the first time I saw the involvement of the little people community.
And I don't want to be exclusionary to say that they can't do it if you, in fact, are a little part. I want Peter Dinklage to know he's fully licensed
Peter
to do
Dinklage is welcome to do a Scientology. Is he a Scientologist?
No. He's not.
He's a Hollywood guy.
He definitely is a Hollywood. Yeah, big business, big Hollywood guy, huge Hollywood guy. Yeah,
ironically, yes. Okay.
Ironically, yeah. I was gonna. If you didn't say it, I'd have
easy
to.
joke. I'm sorry.
So a Scientology speedrun is, in particular, a TikTok social media trend which originated on TikTok. Participants.
Well done, Bill.
Well
explained. Yeah.
Participants attempt to haul ass through Scientology buildings. If you know anything about them, I would say a lot of major cities and some minor cities on our our little blue pearl here floating through the cosmos, they have outposts all over the planet. Maybe the West is fairer to say, except for Germany, as we know, the Scientologists, so far as I know, are still banned from Germany. But
really.
There is a building here. There's a building here in Amsterdam. I did not know until I did the research that there was a building, but it stands to reason that there would be because this is their
I've walked by the one in San Francisco up in North Beach. Walked by that on my way to karaoke many times.
Yeah, some of them are. The Hollywood building is, I think, the most preeminent, and we'll get into that later.
That is like a castle.
Yes.
I ate lunch across the street from it once at an outdoor cafe, and we were looking at it with
John Travolta. I remember that time. You told me about that. It was a big deal.
Yes. It was so weird.
So the concept of so the thing is so people try to haul ass to these Scientology buildings. The idea is to run in as far as possible before getting stopped whilst they are filming themselves. So the concept of speed running, I saw this in a few places, but I was already familiar with the speed run itself is derived from video game playthroughs on YouTube. And it was a flex by players to show how fast a gigantic, complex game, or maybe even a small game like Super Mario Brothers, for instance, could be expediently bested. So that people actually fight each other by cutting off, shaving off fractions of a second on YouTube. It's not important for this, but it's another weird curlicue of the internet.
Yeah, it's how fast can you finish a game?
Yeah.
Is basically the thing. Yeah.
And so there's there's bragging rights to who can do it. Anyway, so this whole shit started with a TikTok in March. It spread as creators attempted increasingly deeper and more disruptive incursions, which, of course, the police were called. There was media commentary, articles about little people, etc., just like you said. And the removal of many videos, this is the weird thing. The footprint of this gets sort of bigger and narrower. So the trend started in March at the building, like you said, the one on Hollywood Boulevard, which I think probably in Florida, they pretty much own a town in Florida. I would say that's the real chief real estate.
Do?
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah.
I must have known that.
They have a massive compound.
I read that big New Yorker article years ago that everyone was talking about, but that's 15 years ago, probably.
So the thing is, the Florida thing isn't really public facing, but the Hollywood is, because it's right it's right by Hollywood and Highland or Hollywood and Vine. It's like it is at the center of what is essentially Times Square for Los Angeles. So a TikToker named Is Derpy. And, there they go again. TikTokers nailing the name choices. We got a couple of those in this one. Is Derpy. He posted a video of himself running deep in the building, shouting Xenu very cleverly and timely until he was escorted out.
Xenu is not, they don't worship Xenu. Xenu was like an alien who appeared on Earth centuries ago, and Xenu's essence is still within us. Is that what's going on in Scientology lore?
Xenu is like their I was gonna say it's more like Buddhism. That's like
but they don't worship Xenu. Xenu's not like their
no, but
anything.
Xenu is like the Maitreya. He's like the idea of what did the Buddha have? Whatever the state, the enlightenment state that Buddha had in Buddhism. That's what Xenu was like. Nirvana, or there's another term, bodhisattva. I think bodhisattva is like the enlightened.
Bodhisattva, I thought was a person. I thought a bodhisattva is a person.
Yeah,
that's not the case.
I know it's also
a Steely Dan song.
A bang out, really great song by Steely Dan. So the
first time most people have heard that word is the Steely Dan song.
So that people then the clout chasing starts, right? So this guy named, I think this is where I picked up the story. This guy Swiley, yet again winning the TikTok name sweepstakes. Swiley, with 2 Y's at the end, decided to collaborate with the original TikToker Is Derpy, and they filmed themselves running, into a back office. They got pretty far into it. Just 2 guys in gym shorts, about 23 years old. It looked like, mischief making, that kind of thing. So the thing is, this video was 90 million times viewed before it was taken down. It's true, you can't find the video. If you look on Swiley's TikTok page, it's around it, but not of it. So clout chasing then caused people to replicate the video. Everybody wanted, they escalated with some runs. They would go there with the air horns, the air horns. It inflicted bodily harm. Like, people were doing like full out, what do they call those, sled tackles of people like knocking?
I heard one person in the New York speed run got hurt.
Still,
and it sounds like it was overstated. The dude didn't even need to go to the hospital.
Either way, if you put hands on somebody else, man, you're crossing a line. Whatever,
right,
So you got New York, you got Vancouver, you got Amsterdam, other cities.
Sydney. A couple kids were arrested in Sydney. Yes.
So you got crowds of young punks who are always trying to one up each other. The deepest run, and although it really doesn't go that far. So since they're self-recorded on phones, the sort of shake cam and also smart glasses, there was kind of like a side effect. The byproduct was that they were using the maps. They were using, I should say, the footage to create maps in like CAD software, or they were sketching out what the inside of the building. I don't know what this does for anybody. I think people think that these buildings are labyrinths. They're like, what is it? Philadelphia experiments, as if there's some sort of deep, dark secret going on in all these compounds that is unknown to the public, rather than just cubicles. Or
I will say, I will cut in here. I read an article that quoted a guy named Benjamin Zeller. He's a religion professor at Lake Forest College in Illinois, and he's something of an expert on Scientology. And he said, watching these videos, these people have gone no places that I haven't seen on a public tour. So they're really not uncovering any secrets.
Yeah. And I just don't think that there are. The secrets is like our fascination with this whole thing.
The secrets are probably down in Florida.
If there are secrets.
If what you're saying is right, yeah.
It's we're Shelley Miscavige. That's the secret, for God's sake, Anyway, so Swiley and even Leah Remini, and I forget, there's this other guy, I can't remember. He's the Scientology debunker, essentially. These people are actually...
Well, Paul Haggis. So the big celebrities who left Scientology and spoke out against it were Leah Remini.
Yeah.
Remini, star of multiple Kevin James sitcoms. And Paul Haggis, director of Crash, the greatest movie ever
among
made.
others, yeah. So there's a few people who are saying that they're advising against doing this. They say it's whatever these people think they're doing, it's generating the opposite, because it's antisocial behavior to begin with, and that anything you do of this sort always risk the chance that you're making the church out to be a victim, even if it turns one person away, or from thinking that this, like, oh, stop picking on those well-dressed people in the vests, who just look like normal square normies or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, and these are people who are on the outside now, who are deprogrammed, who are trying to say, it's like, look, don't give them any rope. I get that too. So again, like you said, it's still it's cooling for sure, but still going on, and it's kind of a strange curlicue in terms of social media. I think it says more about social media. Obviously, it's got little to do with Scientology, but nonetheless, what did you make of this?
For sure, yeah, I don't really get the joke. What's the joke? I mean, I guess the joke is, hey, we are going to force this secretive, wacky, possibly toxic thing out in the open, drag it into the open against
public pressure. Exactly. Yeah. Some shit. Yeah.
So, okay, you want to reveal the secrets of this, this hidden group of toxic weirdos, but you're right. It's more about the social media clout. There is no, it has the veneer of a activism project, of a political or sociological commentary, but they're not doing that by just running around and screaming Xenu. I mean, clearly they're just, one person says the speedrun thing is funny, because I guess if you're a teenager, it's funny. I mean, I'm sure I would have found it funny when I was a kid, but we'll get to that. And because it's Scientology, it has that frisson of, importance or critique, right? Are any of these people politically engaged? Any of the people running it? The people making maps, are they doing this because they're really invested or involved or interested in uncovering Scientology secrets and finding Shelley Miscavige or blowing the lid on Tom Cruise, and finally revealing what a scumbag he is? No, it's just a random stunt. In fact, I watched a video of people doing this at the Hollywood one, and it was from the point of view of some girl who was live streaming outside watching them and going, "Oh my God, this is so crazy." And she said when it was done, she says, "That was so random." And that really sums it up. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think that's okay because that's what kids do, right? It's just kids being kids. But in our world today, we talked about this with 6-7, kids being kids, the pointless, meaningless stuff now gets disseminated and treated as if it has some import when it used to just be born and die in the playground and be forgotten 30 seconds later, even by the practitioners. There's an article in NBC News that I thought had this really great quote, or really not great quote, but a quote that summed it up. Their purpose isn't entirely clear, and some perpetrators appear to be teenagers. And I'm like, well, you just explained yourself.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, well, that's their purpose is they're teenagers, and teenagers do random crap because they're teenagers. I did when I was a teenager. You did when you were a teenager. That is the essence or unessence of being a teenager. We mentioned Leah Remini, and I want to agree with you. There is a downside here in that it can make them out to be victims. So she is against this. She was quoted, and I'm going to quote her here. She says, "If someone is brainwashed for years into believing the outside world is filled with dangerous lunatics who wish to impede Scientology, a group of people running through a Scientology building is only going to confirm that belief and lead them to dedicate themselves even more to the cause they believe in." She wrote that on on Twitter. And it's true. Anytime you get a toxic, fascist adjacent organization or cause, they thrive on grievance. They thrive on we're the victims. They thrive on we're just standing up for what's right and other people are attacking us. Look at our politics today. We have an entire party that is basically dedicated to this ethos. And this plays into it with no benefit. There's the criticism now, not sorry to get too heavy. On the left, there are people who think, for example, we should throw transgender people under the bus. We should not stand up for their rights because it's by standing up for their rights, it's feeding into the narrative that the right wing is being oppressed. My response to that is, to stand up for them is the right thing to do. And as a matter of principle, we need to do it anyway. But this is not the right thing to do. It's just a stupid prank. So I don't know if I 100% agree with Leah Remini, but I certainly get her point. And also another thing I want to add, this is just ridiculous. There is talk of it being investigated as a hate crime. And apparently some Scientology people are accusing it of being a hate crime. And that's just silly. I think it's rude, but to call it a hate crime is complete media catastrophizing. The same thing, taking a stupid stunt and making it into an item for think pieces or something to be outraged about, or a political hot potato. And I want to quote that article, that British thing, Two Oceans Vibe. I thought this was very funny. While critics have leveled accusations of religious intolerance against the teens armed with GoPros, online reaction seems to be that it's not really a hate crime to run through the offices of a group that believes a giant spaceship will come and pick up Tom Cruise and his flock when judgment rolls around. So look, all religion is ridiculous from a certain point of view. At the same time, I have a lot of respect for most religions, and I find almost all religions to be harmless, or harmless at their core. Any religion can be turned harmful. So I have a lot of respect and I give a lot of latitude to religious belief, but to call this a hate crime is just complete catastrophizing. So I don't know. This is what it is. It's not a big deal.
No, I think that part about it, it is really impossible to call it a hate crime. But, this is the thing. If there's
I hated it.
If there's any more media savvy entity than the Church of Scientology, I'd ask you to go show it to me, because you know what? The Latter-day Saints can't do this. Zoroaster can't do this. The Baha'i can't do this. They just don't have this. They're not built and designed.
They can't. Media. They can't do what? They can't attract people to run through their temples. And go crazy?
No. The idea is that they just don't have a media apparatus. They're not sort of media obsessed the way Scientology is. Scientology was built around the idea of the mid-century use of
handing out flyers in Times Square.
No. It's talk about again, if you'd seen The Master, for instance, it was a pretty good, even though it was about something else, it was about this. And the idea of like what Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, the founder, set himself to, it was a fusion of New Age and science fiction and atomic age bullshit, and sort of post World War II, post atomic bomb catastrophizing. And it was, just like a purely American religion, much the same way Mormon is a frontier American religion. It's the idea of American designed faith from America on out. That's what this shit is. Anyway, look, I have no love of the cult, And in fact, I think it's inhumane. I think it's disgusting. I've actually never known anyone who's either entered or exited the church. And
yes,
I think
yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Who's that?
I'm sure you have.
Actually, I don't. That's the thing.
I bet you do. You just don't realize it.
I would have.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have figured it. I've known more ex-Jehovah's Witnesses than I've known any Scientologists. Believe me. Anyway, look, if you're listening to the honey tones of my voice, then I'm guessing that you probably share our view on this one. So I'm you're probably not listening to this from the Clearwater, Florida compound. One would assume, although maybe you are. Who knows? So look, I don't think in the main, I'm gonna sum up and say I don't think any of us want anything other than the absolute dissolution of this church. That's the whole point. However, the thing is, this trend, like Noah says, is madness. Like it's owing to nothing but. There's no cult busting. There's no activism. There's none of that shit. The whole idea of deprogramming, that's a whole separate thing. That I don't think that's not represented here. I don't doubt that some of the people who are taking the schematics and like trying to build maps in CAD software or in graph paper don't think
one person probably
one
did that.
person.
That's the thing. People have gotten injured. One guy probably got pushed over. And that person bruised his left butt cheek.
And that person who thinks he's being a cataloger of what they're finding out somehow is foolishly conflating what he's doing with what he thinks activism is, but that's not.
Yes.
I think this is the purview of bored clout chasers. The thing I've typed up the phrase clout chasing here in my note stock like 50 times. Clout chase. So the thing is, like, they
clouts, not cloud.
Clout chase, exactly.
Yes.
But they continue to innovate on antisocial trends. The whole idea is to be sort of noisier, more loud, more undeniable than the previous goofball who does something really fucking weird or dumb. Something that starts off weird becomes dumb, becomes loud, becomes almost maybe injurious or illegal after a couple of turns, after a couple of metamorphoses. You get the point. Look, as much as I would love to push David Miscavige off the roof of the LA establishment into a massive pool of tapioca, I don't subscribe to anything which would actually do physical harm to some poor vest-wearing son of a bitch who's got a walkie-talkie out front of the door on Hollywood Boulevard.
A new TikTok challenge is driving some people to storm through buildings belonging to the Church of Scientology.
I think we agree this, in terms of its media footprint, this phenomenon is punching above its weight. So why? Why does anyone care about this? Why is this getting written up? Why did they quote a professor from Lake Forest University?
This is a visual and physical way to grab the attention of short form social media, short form video social media, which, as we've seen, tends to activate the more antisocial people among us. Your Kai's Sinat. We didn't talk about Kai Sinat, but we did. That was the guy who was giving away PlayStations in Union Square and caused a stampede. I think it was about 5 years ago. Or 4
no,
years
we
ago.
Talked about Johnny Somali.
I have that. Yes, Johnny.
I think it was like worse, way worse than Kai. It's hard to be worse than Johnny Somali.
Your Kai's Sinat, your Johnny's Somali in our world are the people who.
Well, Somali is already plural, though singular Somalo.
Johnny's Somalo. What is he, Italian?
Yeah, exactly.
I
like that joke.
His sister was Johnny Somala, the Italian.
Yeah, Somala,
the A fits in there. So the thing is, if you add the easy target of a universal villain of Scientology, again, because the way they defend themselves is much more insidious, although it's nonetheless they do have a bulwark, a very deep pocket of defense. But they don't go out and fight these individual charges. They just more do the job of like stealing your sons and daughters, by getting them to do stress tests and shit like that. So you get two great tastes, which taste great together, right? The antagonism of a generally acceptable social villain through mildly or maximally antisocial forms of trespassing and harassment, right? Let's put it this way. You don't see 50-year-old men with bad knees read Me or Noah doing this. Only like misguided...
Wow.
So maybe
multiple reasons for that.
Yeah, sure. Only look, this is the purview of misguided Zoomers, zillennials who think they're striking a blow for Katie Holmes, Surrey Cruz, whoever the fuck that they think escaped the clutches of Xenu. That whole, it's an easy target.
Is Katie Holmes? Did she escape?
Yeah, that was the thing.
She did.
All right. When she got out of it's actually a really interesting story. They had an operation to get her out of there. It was a whole subterfuge and deception. Yeah.
By the way, I 100% believe the rumor, the conspiracy theory that the romance between Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise was basically cast, that they were looking for a woman for him. And they cast her. Hey, look, it helped her career. Nicole Kidman was getting $20 million a movie before she ever had a hit film, simply because she was Tom Cruise's wife.
Travolta and Kelly Preston were cast together. Look, this just go down the line. It keeps happening over and over again.
Anyway, this is what passes for pointed criticism in 2026, our degraded world of modern American sociological discourse. And, the Scientology element gives it the whiff of intelligent criticism, but not enough to really say anything, which is, unfortunately, I think just how people like it in this world. It's our I'd say it in almost every episode, media literacy in the toilet. And this is how people like it. They want to think they're being smart. They want to think there's an element of almost like a punk rock counterintuitiveness, contrarianism is the word I'm looking for, right? But so that's why it's Scientology and not Baha'i and not Zoroastrianism and not, Protestantism, because people pay attention if you're making fun of Scientology, because it's easy to make fun of, and it probably deserves to be made fun of from what I gather from it, right? Made fun of or worse, as you say, pushing David Miscavige off a building into a puddle of tapioca. But the fact that they just lean towards the critique and not actually explore it in any way is, this is why it's popular, is because that's all people can handle on TikTok. And also, there's an article I read in a Houston newspaper, The Cron. So the Houston Chronicle has a spin-off website called The Cron. Doesn't that sound really desperate? Doesn't that sound like...
it appeals to a...
old man trying to be hip,
it appeals to a Zoomer like me. I really feel feel regarded here.
It happened here in Houston. Yeah, you know what happened? A bunch of kids pulled at the door and a security guard scared them away. That's it. And that gets an article.
Blow the lid off this thing, man. Wow.
Right. Every article mentioned someone in New York was injured. Again, the guy didn't have to go to a hospital. What does injured mean? Did he stub his toe? This shows how the perverse incentives of our media system. Every online news source is desperate for clicks. So when something like this catches on, even though it's not newsworthy, even though it doesn't say anything, even when it's a pale version of the phenomenon, e.g., a bunch of kids pulled at the door in Houston, it gets a full article. And then we fall even worse into it because it's just a bandwagon and everyone's jumping on and everyone's just repeating themselves saying nothing.
Trying to unlock as much as we can of the map is what they call it, to see what they have hidden, because they keep it very strict in there. You can't see anything up above and it's very secret, and we want to know what it is all about.
Noah, would you have liked Scientology speedruns if you were a kid?
I think I might have. I believe in our 6-7 episode, I talked about for like a month or so when I was in 8th grade, my friends and I did the stunt where we would invade like the spa, the salon, and yell out something and run out. And we thought it was a funny prank. And even at the time, we knew it wasn't funny. It was for our own small version of clout among our little friend group, right? I imagine the world today that would have caught on and been on video, and the Quran would be writing about it. And me being a pretentious, faux intellectual kid, I might think this is smart, and I might think this is striking a blow for justice and independent thoughts and political and religious and socio-political commentary. But you know what? That's okay. Like, I think I would have been into this as a kid, and that's forgivable. The problem is the media treating it as if it's something real that says something, or the police taking it more seriously than typical teen mischief. Like, I don't know. I guess it's trespassing, breaking and entering. I mean, no one's breaking a window to get in, are they?
I don't think so. Not that I've understood.
They're jumping. I saw footage of people like jumping, like little velvet ropes. Anyway, I don't know. Like, I might have done it. In fact, I think there's a good chance I would have done it.
I mean, this is essentially the origin story of Baba Booey too. It's like people fucking did that for the last 30 years. It's so stupid.
And without TikTok, the closest we had was the Howard Stern show.
Yeah,
yes,
right. People, Larry King used to get called. We're taking calls right now, and some guy would call up, ask a stupid question, and say Baba Booey to Larry.
You know
King.
what I remember? I remember when they announced. For some reason, I listened to this live on the radio. They announced the Oscar nominations in 1998. And it was all Titanic. And the big, Leo wasn't nominated for Best Actor. And that was also the year of Private Parts. And some maniac came in and was like, what about Howard Stern for Best Actor? What about Howard Stern? Oh, for the days when that was the most havoc one could wreak on our media ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you told the 14-year-old me that people were doing this at Episcopalian churches or Quaker meeting houses, I would have been all in. Such is my complete and utter antipathy for all forms of organized belief. I think I would have been a willing set of eyes watching these videos, thinking that Swiley somehow was righteous, that Swiley was like, who's that guy? The amazing Randy, the psychic
James
debunker?
Randi, the debunker.
Yeah, I mean, he actually is righteous. There was something to him which was rigorous.
Yeah.
That's I would have
but
thought.
But he had a political point. Swiley doesn't.
Right. No, there was a rigorousness to what he did. Well, that's also he was 1,000 years old, so that's the difference. I would have just believed that Swiley was attacking a social ill rather than just sort of doing the equivalent of a Johnny Knoxville porta potty stunt.
35 million views in week 1 on a single clip. And by his own admission to The Hollywood Reporter, the moment he clocked the numbers, he understood Scientology was a free gateway to views. That's not a content strategy. That's an oil rig.
Is the existence, the rise, the media lens focused on Scientology, couldn't say it. Scientology speedruns, is that any way a sign of the apocalypse?
Well, look, if there's a social contract page peel here, which emboldens certain younger members of society to forget what breaking and entering or targeted harassment means, then I think we got a fucking problem on our hands if honestly, some of these basic levels of comportment, it's like if you did this at a McDonald's, people would be considered antisocial, and you're allowed to go into a McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But look, I mean, we're already in the shitter because more than 50% of an electorate thought it was acceptable to storm Congress. That wasn't,
more than sorry,
of an electorate,
more than 50% of the electorate
of an
stormed
electorate.
Congress.
No, they thought it was acceptable to storm Congress. They let that go.
That's technically not true.
All right, close enough. You understand what I'm saying?
Close enough, but I'm going to nitpick and say
you nitpick all you want.
He did not win more than 50%
of an electorate.
It was clearly was bad enough. No, he didn't.
All right,
he didn't.
So
he got 49%.
So he's not president. All right, so we won't even.
No, he is, but the third party, he did not get a majority. He got a plurality.
Whatever.
I'm sorry. Can you let me have that?
No.
Can you let me fucking have that? It happens to be true.
So
majority of people who voted wanted someone else. That is the truth. It was also true of Bill Clinton both times he won. Okay.
So look, I think that this to me it's a sign of future growth accelerant. Of like nitro. What is it like that whatever you put in the soil of a plant, Nutrigrow. things that are just sort of like going to feed future phenomena of weird things.
Right.
We're gonna sort of shake our head at and say, well, gee, imagine, like, let's go back to the romantic days of people breaking down the doorways of the fucking Hollywood Scientology Center, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I think breaking and entering, I mean, while technically accurate, I don't want to say it's catastrophizing, but it's making too big a deal out of this. I do not think this is a sign of the apocalypse. I think this is pretty weak. I don't like, you know, like I said before, I am less cynical about religion than a lot of people on my end of the political spectrum. I still mostly see value in almost all religions. I'm not sure I'd include Scientology on that list. I don't like it, and I definitely have read enough about its negative effects. But I'm also not the kind of person who will mock it simply because they might wear colanders on their head and talk about Xenu and alien ghosts. My attitude is if that helps you get through the day, then fine. And, you know, believe all you want to believe as long as you're a good person to other people at the end of the day, great. I'm not saying Scientologists are teaching each other to be good people. I don't know enough. I get the impression they're not. But I think there are a lot of criminals out there, a lot of things that are on fire at the moment, and taking down Scientology isn't number one priority as far as I could tell. So, but these people aren't even like we said, they're not even, the criticism isn't landing. They're not taking down Scientology. So this doesn't mean much. And I have trouble viewing it as anything more than a transitory, relatively harmless phenomenon.
Oh man, we got another Scientologist grinning.
I can take that phone and break it on the motherfucking concrete.
All right, Noah, I'm ready to close the podcast up with our last two segments. Tell me, what do you think of jealousy and the feelings that this thing inspires inside of you?
You know, every news thing I watched about this and a lot of the videos themselves, which were just, God, this whole TikTok trend of just people take videos and just comment on the videos. And that becomes its own video.
That's a full-time job. That's a good job. You can't get that job.
And they all have that same TikTok tone. It's very annoying.
The millennial pauses, all that stuff. Yeah, it's in there.
I don't understand the grammar. Anyway, there's one clip I see again and again and again, and it features a guy leaping down, not really a whole flight of steps, but like he leaps over like 5 steps at once. And I just look at that and I miss the days that my knees could handle that, you know?
Yes. I
understand. So that's what I'm jealous of. I also did watch a video, which I can't tell, but I think the guy, he was on a GoPro. I think after a while he was winded. I think he ran up a flight of steps and you can hear him be winded.
Yeah.
He sounded like he was 25 years old or even younger.
Hey man, if you're just pushing TikTok videos, I mean, maybe you're not getting out there on the track too often. You know what I'm saying?
You're not. Yeah. I hate to stereotype, but you know, we all do.
I didn't think about the knees thing. No, here's the thing. As much as I'm repulsed by Scientology, look, I can't relate to Isderpy. I can't relate to Swiley and their need to provoke and subsequently post and repeat and rinse and you know, go bigger and bigger with each of these things. I think all that is the sort of, yes, it's normal and there's a commonality to it. It's the province of the sort of unformed brain. You're going to get more wrinkles as you get older, and in your brain, I'm saying you're getting more convolutions in your gray matter, and it's going to fix this shit. It's like, but you know, we sometimes it feels like we're losing the battle over public misbehavior. So like that's the thing that I don't get I'm a little unhopeful about that. Just simply, you know, I think Swiley, you know, maybe he didn't break a front door, but I think he kicked open the Overton window a little bit in doing this.
See, I think we've looked at stuff I'm with you that I'm scared about public behavior degenerating. I mean, you mentioned storming the Capitol, right? I just don't see this as that bad. So I'm more upset with how the media treats it than the actual phenomenon.
It's just dumb readings or not readings at all. It's just repetition.
Or just blowing up. Oh my God, they pulled on a handle of a door. I mean, come on.
So what about, how would you comp this? Where's on the Felonian scale? Where do you put it?
So we referenced 6-7, a stupid joke that because of the world of media now becomes a news topic, right? So 6-7 times, I thought of some social media phenomenon, and this is a pretty minor one, but we did talk about the Ella McKay challenge, right? Remember that?
Yeah, that's just a couple months old by now. Sweeping the nation. Sweeping the nation.
Yeah, sweeping the movie gone and forgotten. So 6-7 times Ella McKay challenge divided by something else that young people are doing that people flipped out about that I didn't think was that bad, which is the Gen Z stare.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you subtract 53.162163.
Which is my age. Yeah.
Which will be your age before long.
That's true.
And that's where you arrive at Scientology speed running.
So this to me got Johnny Somali times blockchain, Noah. Two weird, corrosive, dumb things which kind of reflect the stupidest aspects, or at least could certainly have, well, Johnny Somali, yes. Blockchain supposedly had some use, but so far as we know, blockchain still isn't doing us any good, even years after we've discussed it. It's not...
Talk to the grifters in government who are making billions of dollars.
Crypto coming through Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. And
that's patriotism. Sure, they stand up for the country. Sure.
Well, I am patriotic for the show, and I stand up for us ending it. And I'm going to read our boilerplate to end it.
Great, Bill.
It is great. Transition for all the ages. So, guys, if you'd like to find past episodes, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Soundcloud, Google Play. Skeet to us at noahandbillshow.bsky.social. Write to us, Noah and Bill Don't Get It at gmail.com. Reviews, we also love those too. And yeah, we're irregular. I should say our schedule of podcasting is irregular. I can't really claim that our psyllium husk intake is making us irregular. But I don't think we have something coming out next week. I think May is a little weird. June is definitely weird. So
traveling, but we'll be back before you know it. We're always in your hearts.
Pop in, pop out. You know what it's like. Yeah. So look for me. I'm on social media at billscurry.bsky.social, at William Scurry on Twitter and Insta, youtube.com/amcaesar. That's where the video aspect of this podcast lives, plus a record of all the videos I've made for myself and collaborators. And Noah, I'll tell you where you can find him.
Go to bigquizthing.com and learn all about the Big Quiz Thing, America's premier providers of corporate and private live trivia entertainment. Yeah, part of the reason we skipped last week is I was traveling, did an event in Colorado Springs, did an event in Napa, wine country, California. I am traveling now, but for personal, not quiz purposes. But we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Corporate and private events nationwide. So learn more at bigquizthing.com and learn how to get the finest in trivia event service for your event. We make trivia fun for everyone.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode where me and Noah do a speed run through a Church's Fried Chicken. We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2026.